Alright, we're going to be looking at Yandere, who's playing Kiriko. This is Silver 2. I don't know if it's PC or console. And is on New Queen Street. 800 plus games, that's a lot. And hard stuck Silver as a support, mostly as Kiriko. I placed Bronze 4 when Overwatch 2 first released, and I solo queued my way into Silver, touched Gold 5 for a day, and then demoted and stayed Silver 2 since forever. Most games I play are completely one-sided, which isn't super helpful in terms of learning the game. I accept that I'm not great at the game, though, so I'm looking for advice to get better. This particular game I lost, didn't play my best, and I don't think it was any one person's fault, but the Brig blamed me for the game, and I tilted at the end because of that. I did try to review the VOD on my own, but my insight's not the greatest. I think my position could use work. I find myself unable to heal my teammates sometimes because I am in a corner away from them. Any advice on how I could improve would be greatly appreciated. Also of note, I play on terrible Wi-Fi. My ping is very bad and constantly spikes. I try not to let it hold me back, but it does make my movement wonky at times. Thanks in advance. So I saw this as actually a lot of upvotes, and some other folks tried to help you out. Rather did help you out. I did notice there was a lack of a video replay here, and I think a video replay is much more helpful than text. And this is coming as somebody who used to write text replay reviews. Having a video is just infinitely better because you can demonstrate very clearly like what to do differently in a way that just writing in text is not necessarily nearly as helpful. So I'm going to do a walkthrough of this, maybe not super long because you already have a bunch of other people commented. I didn't really look too much at what they said, but I think a video replay will still have its own value. I would also point out, you talked about your ping issues. I mean, that's going to be a problem for sure. I'm not going to harp on it. I mean, I'm sure you're aware that it is an issue, but at some level, it's going to impact your ability to play. You know, it's like, oh, like I go out and play basketball, but I have shoes that don't have any traction. How do I play better? Well, at some level, it's going to prevent you from doing certain things because you have no traction on your shoes. Anyway, we can start here. So one thing to keep in mind already is what your other support is and what your tank is. So looking right here, Kiriko is interesting because she can play as either the main healer, which I would define as the healer who's mostly staying on your tank, and she can play as the off healer, which is the healer support who mainly plays with your DPS. Right? Typically, most teams have a situation where one support focuses on the tank and the other support focuses on the DPS. Kiriko can do both because she's very mobile and she has good single target healing. Now, the reason why with Brig you would be the main support is that Brig cannot have sustained single target healing because of the nature of her armor packs, health packs, right? So they can burst very quickly and give a lot of health back really fast, but then she has charges, and when she runs out of charges, she can't keep a tank up. Meanwhile, you can consistently heal tank for like 70 health a second or whatever it is. Brig just can't do that. After she's out of charges, she can't do anything else. She only has Inspire, which is why she's better off saving her packs to either save your tank if your tank gets super low, or generally to help DPS win fights. Now, the good news is that you're running Sigma, who's not generally considered a greedy tank. He's not like Ryan or Orisa, or even Winston, who need a lot of constant healing. I think that Sigma's probably pretty good at not needing a ton of healing, so you're going to have more flexibility here. But if you were running, for example, like a Ryan, you basically need to be staring at your Ryan like the entire time, constantly healing to win the game. So, already, up here, you see that Cassidy is low. Ideally, your Brig should be kind of like over here helping your Cassidy. I understand you stepping up here to go help the Cassidy, but ideally your Brig would be going there. I don't disagree with your decision, but just noting that to think through is that you want to stay attached to your tank. So you notice that your Cassidy gets super low right here. You should swift step and immediately Suzu. I think that's a good instinctive response to when you see someone get critical is swift step and Suzu right away. So Cassidy wins this one-on-one, but he very much could have lost it. Right? He's down to 75. Happens to win this, but it's like Torvus firing. Might have just hit him in the head and killed him. It's pretty regular. Just cleaning up right now. It's 4-4, but I don't know what the heck the rest of the team is doing. So you want to heal the Brig here, not the Sigma. So your Sigma's in basically no chance of dying. Your Sigma still has half health, but your Brig was sleeping on the ground. So right here you should be healing the Brig, not the Sigma. And healing priority is super, super important. Now, another thing I want to point out, actually going back earlier, is use Suzu to cleanse Sigma here, but he doesn't actually need it. Right? So he eats Javelin here, and he eats Anti-Grenade. But the thing is, he's still mostly full health, right? He's still got like 80% of his health right now, and presumably he still has defensive cooldowns, right? He still has Grasp, for example, and he still has Shield. So I do not Suzu here because he's not actually in that much danger. And Suzu has a really long cooldown, so I would prefer to save it for when I really need it. Now, why is this relevant? Well, as we'll see a few seconds from now, right? I, for example, probably would have Suzu that to make sure that my brick doesn't get one shot. But even then, right now, for sure, Suzu has massive value. Like, this is very, very important moment to Suzu to try to save everybody. But you don't have it because your Suzu's still on cooldown. Because Suzu has a very, very long 14-second cooldown before it comes back up. Now your tank dies, and now the fight's over. As a general rule, if your tank dies, the fight is over. Not always, but generally speaking, that's what's going to happen. So you want to either die or get out here, because you don't want to stagger your team. I would Suzu myself. At 2 health, I would Suzu myself. Even though, like, strictly speaking, it's only going to be 2 health. And that's very, very important right now, because any spam right now kills you. I think that it was highly reckless to try to walk out this way. I would have Suzu'd myself, and then I would have swift stepped to the brig and then left. Because if they have a tank and you don't have a tank, there's basically no way to win. I would say like 90% of the time, you're just not going to win that fight. And this is kind of the problem, is that nobody at your rank just understands like when they can win fights or not. Everyone just kind of plays the game. And that's one of the things that you have to get better at is reading the game, being like, are we up? Are we down? Do we have more players or do we have fewer players? Is the tank alive or not? These are the big questions that you need to be asking yourself to change your decision making. So you need to finish healing your Cassidy. I would just throw like 1 there. I mean, technically you can get 2, but you do like perfect timing. I would watch out for Orisa Terra Surge soon, because it's been quite a while, so Orisa should have ulti soon. If you have trouble tracking that, one way is to look at your own tank, right, as a mirror, and look, okay, my tank, because you can push tab, right, check scoreboard, look at your tank, be like, my tank is 76%. Their Orisa probably has something like that, but if you win fights, you get more ult charge than if you lose fights, because you typically have done more damage and you stay alive. So if you look at your tank and be like, oh, 76%, their Orisa has somewhere between 5 to 15% more ulti. That's a pretty good barometer as like, do you have to worry about Terra Surge or not? And you do not want to get pulled into Terra Surge when possible. So this is an example of frontlining where your Cassie's in front. You really don't want to come any closer. If Cassie wants to play up there, fine. I don't think it's a good idea for him to be playing there either. But you walking forward opens you up to the brig, which now puts you in trouble. You're very lucky that she misses that whip shot. Because she can kill you pretty quickly, right? 1, 2, 3, insta-kill. On the 3rd one, she does shield bash, whip shot, you instantly die. But she misses here. So because she misses, you actually don't need the Suzu anymore. She has no ability to kill you anymore. She used all her abilities. Right? If you look at me, look at her right now. She has no shield bash. She has no shield bash and she has no whip shot. So there's nothing she could do to kill her. So after she whiffed here, you actually did not need Suzu. But you definitely should not be walking forward right now. As a general rule, look at where your tank is and look at where their tank is and stay out of the area in between them. So never be ahead of your tank is a good overall rule. So instead of Suzuing here, I would just switch step to the Sigma blade behind him. That way you'd have Suzu up. So your Cassidy dies here because you get too distracted. Again, your Cassidy's way overextended, but you could have done more to help him if you had just been playing a little further back and you weren't pressured out by the brig. So right now it is, I think, a 4-on-3, right? Because you lost one, so you should be down a player. Exactly, and you have one respawning. It's 3-on-3, because there was another pick somewhere. So, reasonable time to... So, you see Orisa walking forward, right? You should instinctively walk backwards away from the Orisa, because she's going to Terra Surge. Okay? At this point, you really need Suzu, because Suzu right here would save your brig. You don't have it, because you wasted it earlier. Orisa's chasing you down. I would switch step immediately. When Orisa's this close, she's going to kill you almost instantly. So when she's spinning into you, right before her, like, as she's coming up, and she's committed to this, switch step right now. Right? Or, like, right now would be fantastic. Even though it's like, hey, you're putting yourself in more danger over here, realistically, they're probably not all looking at the Sigma, because they don't want to kill the Sigma, they want to kill the backline first, and it definitely takes you away from the Orisa, who's hunting you down. So, trying to duel here was the worst possible decision that you could have made. Because the Orisa really should have killed you. Their team's on the retreat, the Orisa's overextended, dies, great. Generally speaking, it's always still going to be your job to stay on the cart, by the way. Because you can easily leave the cart to come join a team fight if necessary.
Watch out for this one.
So I would cleanse this right now because I don't expect there to be another serious fight in the next 14 seconds. And I'm just doing that based on game sense. When the Orisa died, the fact that this Brig is about to die, I just don't expect I to need it in the next 14 seconds, so I might as well cleanse right now to avoid any chance of anyone dying. Great. So just a note on your healing, make sure to track the whole heal. So look right here at this Hanzo. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4 into the bus. So you just missed 40% of your heal because you just didn't track the Hanzo. And I assure you that Hanzo needed the healing. Little stuff like this adds up over the course of a match for sure. Make sure to track the full heal. Don't get impatient. So generally, you're just playing too far back up. You should play up here. The reason being is that your front line is over here, and you always want to be able to help your front line. Like, why are you walking this far backwards? You know? You could have been healing. Like, you come over here. I understand coming over here to heal Hanzo. You should be healing the Hanzo while walking back to the right to play behind your tank. You see how you walk all the way over to the left, and now you're jumping in the back. Okay, and now you notice you're out of position, and now your Brig's taking a ton of damage and died. Could you save your Brig? Absolutely. Right? She's not getting blown up here. Like, this is a lot of time that you could have saved your Brig, and now you're down a player. So it's 4-4 right now. So they're coming down really, really hard. You really want to avoid being the brunt of the attack. So as soon as you saw that they were coming down hard here, first of all, you can make a decision like, hey, can I possibly win this with Kitsune? Which is actually possible, right? It is a 4-on-4. I think popping Kitsune here is not unreasonable, and I would just pop Kitsune like here, even though it's a short distance, to make sure that my team can make use of it. I think popping Kitsune to the left of the cart would also be viable. But yeah, you could have popped Kitsune here, A. But B, once you see them coming down this way, you should have been getting either back here or to the left and tucking behind. Just staying in the open is how you end up dying. Okay? You see how you're sitting in the open, you walk to the left for some reason. It's as though you think you're going to stop this push by yourself. You know? Look right here. Okay, you see 3 people coming down the stairs. What do? You keep walking to the left as though you're going to fight them all, which is obviously not going to work. you waste time firing 3 kunais into spin, which is going to do no damage. During that period of time, you can't Suzu your Hanzo. Again, you threw the Suzu earlier, so I understand. Because I also would have thrown that Suzu. I just would not have expected this to happen, but I also would have kept my Brig alive. So it's tricky to say how this would play out. So right here, I would really swift step back to the Sigma, because I want to flip the fight. Okay? They're separated you from your team. Just swift step to your Sigma, and then play behind your Sigma and your Cassidy. Instead, you're here all by yourself. You're getting super low. You Suzu yourself, which is bad. You should have swift step first. That way you can maybe save the Suzu for your rest of your team as well. You keep attacking here instead of just prioritizing what you really need to do, which is to get back to your team. So right now, if you swift step here and then Suzu, at least your teammates get healed, and you definitely be alive. Right? So overall, just not reading the fight correctly and not being in the right place are common patterns that we're already seeing. So Brig is the front line right now, so you really need to step up to the edge and make sure that you're healing the Brig. This walk around in the back is bad because you don't have sights in the Brig, and you're really in a lot of danger playing up here. If you play up here, there's not a lot that can kill you, right? For the Hanzo, well, they don't have Hanzo, but for like the Cassidy to kill you, like he'd have to double tap you with one being a headshot from that distance, which is hard, and he'd have to walk up pretty far. So Hanzo versus here, I don't agree with the swift step because the Orisa is diving your Hanzo, right? This is your job right here to save your Hanzo. See how he's just getting gunned down right now? Like he could have died here, and nearly does. But instead, you totally ignore him to go attack, which I think is a mistake. It's like, yes, you get these kills, but that's not really your job. You know? Like, I would just keep the Hanzo alive, right? Keep the Hanzo alive, tank definitely dies. Yeah, see, and he dies to the Cassidy over here because he's so low. And then you let the rest play out as it will. Understanding what your job is versus what isn't your job is a very important part of Overwatch. It is not your job to go and kill like the entire enemy team. If you can, I mean, fantastic, but I bet that's not consistent, right? But I bet you can consistently keep people alive by just right-clicking them. You also jump a ton, which you should not do. So the second I see the Orisa there, I back up. Like, you have no real fear of the enemy tank. You constantly, like, walk way too close. So people are lifted in the air. When people are lifted in the air, I look for opportunities to get easy headshot. Well, it's just the Reaper right now, so it's something you can do, right? Reaper comes down. Again, your jumping is just throwing off your own aim. So Tracer comes out. Tracer's not super dangerous against you, and like you have the possibility of getting a headshot melee to instantly kill her, so I wouldn't be so afraid of her. Right? Obviously, she gets you low in the story. So you get overly distracted here. Nano Terra Surge. You pop Suzu immediately, which I do not think is the right call, especially against Nano. So in this situation, all Suzu's going to do is going to remove like the 15 damage or whatever that Terra Surge does initially on impact, and it's going to remove the slow effect for half a second. What you really want to do is you want to save it until you think that the Orisa is about to ult, to actually pop it, then Suzu. So this is too early, right? So just wait a little bit, especially since she's nano, so it's much more likely she's going to kill somebody. Wait a little bit more, and then throw Surge like right now. Or throw Suzu right now. It's still a bit of guesswork, but in your scenario, your Suzu did absolutely nothing. You're also making a mistake now trying to get away when you should just die. Right? Just die, and that way you respawn with the rest of your team. You see how 3 of your teammates have already respawned, and you're still spawning. Now your whole team has respawned, and you're still spawning. Very important. Like, die or get out should always be your perspective when a team fight is lost. You just saw 3 teammates die. This fight's over, right? Die or get out. And generally speaking, you cannot walk away from fights. It's very rare for most heroes to be able to just walk away from fights. So as you come out, again, you should figure out, hey, where's my front line? How can I help my front line? Well, your Bastion is the front line here. So you are out of position. I mean, the Bastion is doing his own silly thing. He shouldn't be going that way to begin with. But if that's what's happening, that's what you should do, If you look at this, you should recognize, hey, the Bastion's going left. I should know, based on the map design, the Bastion's going to see and engage the enemy first before these two, who are really, really far away from the enemy. Number 1. Number 2, I know my supports are already going to, other supports are going to the right, so my Cassidy has a support with him. Number 3 is your tank is also going to the left. So there's no reason to be going to the right here. You should definitely be going to the left. So you're out of position. As a result, you have no ability to save this Bastion, which you easily could have, right? Suzu plus healing easily saved your Bastion here. You just kill the Ana. Okay, you survived a long time here. You definitely could have saved him. Now you're stuck fighting the Orisa. Now everyone's just super staggered. It's a 3 and 5. There's like no way to really win this. You throw grenades all you want. Right now it's just about farming ulti. Farm ulti, keep your signal alive. So Reaper ulti's coming. Really important to not jump right now because you want to make sure you get headshots here. You should have Suzu'd immediately as soon as he started it because you saw how low the Cassidy got. Right here, Suzu, right? And then just stand still. I swear, just Suzu, stand still and headshot the Reaper. Why stand still? Reaper's going to hit you no matter what, right? His attack is an AoE, so there's no way to dodge it. So the priority here is not having him miss me, it's for me not to miss him. So if you Suzu right now, it buys you half a second and extra healing for all 3 of you, right? Which means that you all have at least another full second to kill this Reaper. Then, if you're standing still, it's going to make it a lot easier to land a headshot, and you probably kill him right now, and nobody dies. So you lose Cassidy there, and the Reaper doesn't die, which means now you're down 1. So you pop Kitsune, and this is a 4-on-4 situation. So I think this is a reasonable Kitsune. Again, don't walk into the Orisa. Like, you have this thing where you have no fear of tanks. And you should. Like, the Orisa right here can kill you quite quickly. Then you walk way too far away. Like, she's not even looking at you right now. You should just turn back and be like, oh, what's she shooting at? At this point, with 2-on-1, like, you can just kite and keep the Bastion alive and kill the Orisa. You've totally abandoned your Orisa for some reason. Or a Bastion, rather. At this point, I'm looking to run forward so I can Swift Step the Bastion as soon as possible. You have no sense of urgency. You have to get to the Bastion right now. You should Suzu. I would now Suzu my Brig to avoid Pulse. Yeah. Get your Bastion up. You're very lucky your Bastion did not die there. You really should have. So, when I see my Cassidy committed here, I Swift Step in. Why? Because I know the tank is dead, number one, and I know the Cassidy's reading something. There's a reason why my Cassidy's doing this. My team's going to follow up behind me anyway and back me up. Brig is really good distance burst healer. I'm just going to Swift Step and heal the Cassidy. Right? If the Cassidy dies, this fight might end anyway, so I might as well go up and just help it. I think you should just take more risks with healing people and trying to keep them alive. Like, you're a little too passive. Okay, things going pretty well for you so far. So you hear the Brig right now. You should pocket your Brig. Yeah, they were just straight throwing. Oh, you should have landed that headshot. If you headshot straight, she dies there. So positioning right now is pretty good. Okay, so they started coming from the back line, and you're doing a thing where when you look at the enemy, you can't not run at them. Right? So you're going to attack these DPS heroes, but notice how you walk forwards at them? There's no reason to do this. Okay? You're better off playing at distance. Both Tracer and Reaper are close range heroes. You do the same damage at all ranges. There's no reason for you to close the gap to them. They're trying to come to you. Right? I think the general rule is whatever the enemy's trying to do, don't let them do that. If they're trying to come to you, don't let them come closer. Okay? If they're trying to stay away, get closer to them. So in this situation, you're just making your life unnecessarily difficult by getting closer to them, which baits out more danger and abilities from your side. So, you don't actually need the Suzu. So first of all, you should not be this far back, right? You have to maintain clear line of sight to your Brig and make sure that your Sigma doesn't eat that healing accidentally. Second is she puts up shield. And with shield up, she has 300 health, so I know she's not going to die instantly, so I'm going to try to heal there and avoid Suzuing until I absolutely have to. So, kind of lose track of the Orisa here. It's understandable. I mean, you're getting pushed in on both sides. Are you looking for that Swift Step to anybody right now, which is not viable? You don't have to, Suzu either. It's not much you can do here, yeah. Okay, so your team gets wiped. That's fine. You have a bunch of ultis to go into the next fight. Yeah, preferably stop them from getting forward spawn. Don't waste too much time trying to kill the flank Tracer, right? I think most important is to play with your team. So you see your Bastion super low on the flank. You should go to the Bastion and heal. Yeah, too late. In general, you're just always like too slow to respond to things like this. And now you're just caught out. Things are getting messy. Somehow you've managed to have your team kill 3, including you get 1. That Reaper ulti was crazy. So right here, you got to be healing the Cassidy. You try. It's a tough angle to throw Suzu, so I understand like not being able to throw this one. The right thing would have been able to Swift Step here and then try to land a Suzu, but even then it would have been tough. I think it's pretty hard to imagine how you could have saved Cassidy there. Just moving the cart. Yep. Soldier's out of position. Don't turn your back to the fight like this. Right? Don't do that. You have to look and be like, hey, what are they doing? You just walk in a straight line. Brig's on you. So, yeah, this is just a... Oh, because I think you're trying to run away from the Brig. Okay, so you heard the Brig walking around behind you. She hits you right here. Yeah, I mean, I think Suzuing and Swift Stepping is fine. I would look at this and be like, okay, my tank's dead. This fight's probably lost. I do not want to Kitsune here. Yeah. So I don't think you have a great feel for generally what's going on in the fight, and I would encourage you, if you don't have the settings, to turn on the sound effects for when teammates and enemies die, so that you can get those pings. It is, however, the final fight, so I like sort of understand this, but you should have at least stepped back away from the edge when you pop this Kitsune, because you jump here, and your habit of jump spamming is just like consistently exposes you to damage. And then it's unfortunate. Yeah, Cassie really should have been helping there. And there's pretty much no way for you to get to the cart in time. Yeah, so ultimately the enemy team just built up too many advantages, right? You still have to win like 3 more team fights right now in order to win the game. And I think the biggest single problem you have is just not saving teammates. Right? Like, forget about the kills, forget about the damage. Literally, just keep people alive. In particular, it's mostly the DPS that you're having trouble keeping alive, right? Your biggest, mostly just playing with your tank. So I would be like, okay, Brig wants the main heal, then you can be off healer. So just keeping your DPS alive is like a big thing, right? And not having Suzus get baited out is very, very important. Your Kitsunes in general are like not great, and your reactions to the Orisa ultimate are also not very good. Like, basically every fight we can identify somebody dies who doesn't need to die. So over here, I would have gone to the Cassidy. Oh, also walking forwards way too much. Right? Maintain a healthy distance from the opposing tanks at all times. And then not having Suzu right now, that absolutely screws you over, right? These two people both should have been saved by you right now. And then the next fight over here. The Hanzo's gonna die in the distance. Is he savable? He's probably savable here, actually. Yeah, you could have, if you've been stepping forward this aggressively. It's tough though, because Orisa's also walking into you. I would say probably not realistically savable. And then in this fight, your Cassidy dies, I think. Yep, your Cassidy dies, who is savable. And then over here, the Brig dies, who's savable, right? As we already covered, she went up. Just weren't paying attention to the front line enough. Yeah, and then here you could have saved everybody with the right surge. And over here. Yep, you could have saved your Cassidy right here. Yeah. So over and over and over again, same general theme, right? It's typically you're just letting the DPS die when you could have saved them. That's the single biggest value add by far that will catapult you to gold, and if not through gold. It's just being aware of like who can actually die here and can I possibly save them? The answer is usually yes. Kiriko is unbelievably good at saving people, and that is the single biggest swing factor. So I would highlight that. Okay, cool. Hopefully this is helpful.